back. Do you ever feel a little mixed up about who you are? Well, this is the question at the center of a beautiful new children's book called Call Me Gray.
The story is co-written by singer-songwriter Bells Larsen and his father, Andrew, who is a writer, obviously. And it's inspired in part by Belle's own experience transitioning and the universal experience of exploring who we are alongside our parents. We're thrilled to have Bells and Andrew in studio with us today. Welcome back, Bells, and welcome for the first time, Andrew.
So Andrew, I understand that the seed of this book really actually started with you. So tell us about that.
Bells had been visiting over the Christmas holidays a couple years ago and had gone back to Montreal. And there'd been a lot of conversations, and I was out walking the dog one night, and I saw a single kid skating on a skating rink at the top of our street. It's a local skating rink made by the neighbors. And the kid was figure skating all by themselves. No parents, no friends. And they were skating under the moonlight, and I found myself thinking, why is this kid skating under the moonlight all by themselves? And are they doing this because they feel more comfortable under the moonlight rather than in the light of day? And I started thinking about identity and being who you are. And before I knew it, I was writing the story.
Oh my God, that's
beautiful.
really beautiful.
Yeah.
And Bells, I understand your dad emailed you the first draft of the book while you were working on your first album, Blurring Lines, which you wrote and recorded alongside your transition. So what was your reaction when you received this first draft from your dad?
Yeah, so I was in the middle of nowhere in Nova Scotia recording Blurring Time, and I got this email from my dad. No subject, just the text of the book, basically. And so I was already in the mindset of trying to articulate my transition through art, in my case through song. And I was in that moment in time just kind of having a bit of a hard time articulating who I was. It was easier for me to articulate who I was not, and to see that reflected back to me through my dad's language, and also language that would be not only accessible for us, parent and child, but also younger audiences too, was so touching. Yeah.
So great. Andrew, you say that writing this book with Bells offered you a sort of redo. Talk about what you mean by that.
It's been an incredible journey, the journey of Belle's transition. And there are moments that I wanted to redo, moments where I talked more than listened, moments where I didn't let Belle's lead, really. When you have a child, you tend to think of your child as perfect in every way. And when your child is saying, I don't feel perfect, there's something wrong here, I would fill that sort of void with too much of this and not enough of this.
Interesting.
So to be able to sit with a blank piece of paper and work it out, and have a dad who is asking questions and not trying to fill the space with apparent wisdom.
God, I'm thinking,
That's
thank you. I needed
incredible.
to hear that as a parent too.
Then you should write a book like that, because it's great, because you're the boss of what's happening on the page.
Yeah.
So it was an extreme amount of joy in working it out, and in working with Bells on this story.
For me too, yeah.
Well, Belle, at one point in the book, the child character, Gray, refers to their name feeling wrong. They say it feels like an itchy sweater.
Totally.
That's such a poignant way of putting it. Why was using that sort of language important to you?
Well, like I said, I was kind of trying to articulate my transition and the feelings that surround that through music already. So I was already in the mindset of thinking about metaphors and similes and things that I could illustrate that would be relatable not only to trans people, but also just to anyone, because feeling uncomfortable in your skin can be a universal experience. And it was winter time when my dad was first writing the book and sent me that first draft. It was winter when I was recording it, so I was thinking about sweaters and the feeling of just like itchy wool. And I think it's funny that today I'm wearing a sweater vest with no sleeves. Yeah. I'm comfortable in my skin now, you know.
Oh, I love
but yeah, you know, I think we all know what it feels like to think I could walk around in this sweater all day if I had to, but I would just rather take it off and maybe wear a bit of cashmere, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Andrew, when you were putting this together, did you have a vision in mind of a very particular reader?
To a great extent, I was thinking I was writing to Bells in grade 2 or grade 3. So I was trying to craft a story that I wish Bells had a chance to read when Bells didn't have the language to express what they were feeling. And also to a parent such as myself at the beginning of the journey when I had no idea where we were going. And I didn't have the language or the patience or the je ne sais quoi that I wish I'd had. So it's as much a mirror for young readers as it is a window for older readers.
Bells, do you think if you had a book like this when you were a kid,
Yeah.
do you think it would have helped at all on your journey?
Yeah, of course,
In
of
what
course.
way?
Yeah, because it would just act as another tool in my tool belt of being able to say who I am. And as my dad said, I think this book would have been hugely instrumental for me in grade 3. In some ways, when I think about it, I've always known that I'm a guy, even if I hadn't had the tools to say so. And I think that you can't be what you can't see. That's one of my favorite sayings. And so having that representation so early on, it would have been huge for me.
Andrew, I think there are a lot of parents maybe watching as well who have reservations, and they might be thinking, oh, is this the right time to open up this conversation? Are they too young? How do we start this? So what might be your thoughts for anybody who's thinking, oh, maybe it's too early, or I'm worried?
I do a lot of school visits and I'm around kids a lot. And I think that we often don't give them enough credit. And I think that if we let kids lead, we will go into good places.
Yes.
It's probably pointless to talk about it before it's time. And if you let your child lead, it'll be all good.
Yeah, and it's kind of a hippie thing to say, but I know a lot of people who are doing like inner child work in therapy as adults, and that's because kids often know what's up and what their most true, authentic self is at a really early age. And I think that, again, like feeling uncomfortable in one's skin doesn't have to be a uniquely trans experience. I think it can be one that people can relate to at any age. So I don't think that there's any age that's too early.
That's what's so beautiful about the book too, I will say, is that it leaves it for interpretation about what you're talking about here, and it is a universal experience.
so,
Really,
yeah.
really well done. Yeah.
Bells, if you had to sort of distill it down, what are your hopes for this book?
I hope it's the same thing that I say with my music. I hope that people see themselves and their stories reflected in ours. And I think that the illustrator Tallulah Fontaine did such a beautiful job, quite literally illustrating our story. And I've just been on tour and seeing the way that people are reacting to this book at the merch stand when I'm selling it. It's so touching. And so I think that all my hopes are happening. It's quite sweet.
And to do it together.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty
Special.
beautiful
Dream
thing.
team, yeah.
Well, Bells and Larsen, thank you and Andrew, sorry, thank you so much for being here today. And I want everyone to know that Call Me Gray is available now. And to the lucky members of our studio audience, you're all going home with your own signed copy.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.